Right then, we have reached that time that comes around every 2 years where the whole country, England, goes into meltdown because our national team manager releases his squad for this summer's tournament and everybody, and I mean everybody, absolutely hates it. Thomas Tuchel has announced his 26-man squad for the World Cup this summer in the US. Immediately, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What immediately jumps out to you? What do you like about this squad? What is wrong with it? Let's quickly run through it for those of you that have not yet seen it. The goalkeepers are Jordan Pickford, Dean Henderson and James Trafford. Pretty straightforward. The right backs are Livramento and James. Again, fairly straightforward. Livramento, one who has obviously passed some sort of late fitness test. He's missed the last few weeks with injury, but it was suggested that he would be back in time for the summer. O'Reilly at left back makes a lot of sense. Spence is an interesting one. We spent the whole of the last Euros without a proper left back. We had Kieran Trippier on the left hand side. Luke Shaw was injured until the final game, so we had no left back. This year we've got loads of left backs to choose from. You got O'Reilly, you got Luke Shaw, you got Lewis Hall, you got Miles Lewis-Skelly, and you choose Jed Spence. So this is my first issue with this England squad. I don't love that. We go to the centre-backs. Guehi and Konsa probably are two of our best. John Stones is probably our best ball player. Dan Burn was very useful for us in the qualifiers. He's been a big part of the squad at centre-back and at left-back. And then Konsa, which feels like a little bit of a rogue one. I'm not entirely sure what the thinking is there. Personally, I would have had Harry Maguire in my squad here for his experience. You know, I think no matter who you take this summer, Guehi and Konsa start. I think they start every game this summer. But it would have been handy to have a Maguire that you can throw on for the last 10 minutes of a game. Plus, you got all of his leadership, his experience in the dressing room. I would have gone for him. I know a lot of people would like Levi Colwill for his ball-playing ability, and I would too. I think he's a great defender, top young player. I just don't think he's been fit enough for long enough. You know, in the past 12 months, he's played a handful of games. So I think that's probably the reason why he misses out. If he'd have got fit a month earlier, he might have had a chance. But this very much feels like the defensive unit that got us through the autumn phases. And it was quite a good window, quite a good international spell for us then. So it doesn't entirely surprise me, but I would have had Hall in my back line and I would have had Maguire as well. As we move into the midfield, there's a lot of uproar here. A lot of uproar, to be honest. And I don't quite get it in the sense that I feel like if you've watched England under Thomas Tuchel in the past 12 months, I think it's been pretty obvious what he was going to do. It was always going to be Elliot Anderson as the deepest midfielder. It was always going to be Declan Rice alongside him. And then it's Jude Bellingham versus Morgan Rogers. That is the starting midfield. Personally, I'm going Bellingham. We will do another video closer to the tournament breaking down tactically how England are going to play, because that will explain a lot of the decisions that Tuchel has made. But Bellingham and Rogers, they're obvious players in the squad. Henderson was always going to go. A lot of people don't like it, but he was always going to. He's been in every single Thomas Tuchel squad. You know, people want Maguire for the experience and things like that. That's basically why we've got Henderson. Now, personally, I would have gone for Maguire for the experience and got an Adam Wharton into midfield. Just a better central midfielder, in my opinion. A better passer. Because for me, that is what's lacking in here. I think Anderson is a good passer. He's very progressive, very forward-thinking. But I do think in games where if we were to trail, if we were to fall behind, the opposition was to sit really deep, do we have those players that are going to unlock a block? That's where Wharton would have been useful. Kobbie Mainoo, very deserving of his spot in the squad, was always going to make it once he played consistently. And then Eze, it's an interesting one, this position here. Eze was our second top scorer in the qualifiers, so Thomas Tuchel obviously trusts him. And I think really the midfield is more about who's missed out. Obviously, we've already touched on Adam Wharton. And the others are Cole Palmer, Phil Foden and Morgan Gibbs-White. I personally see it in quite a simple manner here. I think this is quite easy to break down. Thomas Tuchel's midfield, or his whole team, works in triangles. That's how the whole team works. So it's about the dynamics of three players together. So that might be your left winger, your left central midfielder and your left back, or these three here, or these three here. It's as simple as that. The way that the midfield three works is you've got one holds deeper in a 6 position. You then got your left-sided one, which is a bit more of an 8, a bit more box-to-box. And then the right-sided one is the more expressive one, the more creative one. And basically, England have 6 very, very good players for this position. Those players are Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers, Eberechi Eze, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden and Morgan Gibbs-White. So there's 6 players there competing for one spot in the team. I don't think Tuchel sees any of them as wingers. Based on what we've seen in the qualifiers, some of them did play out wide and just didn't work. I think Tuchel has made it very obvious what he wants to do. Out here, he doesn't want those in-between players. He doesn't want a Phil Foden on the wing like we saw last tournament. He doesn't want Palmer on the wing. He wants a proper winger. That's why Madueke and Saka are over here, and Gordon and Rashford are over here. Players that can go 1 versus 1, players that are running threats, players that can score goals. That's what he's gone for on the wings. Therefore, those previous players, Bellingham, Rodgers, Eze, Foden, Palmer, Morgan Gibbs-White, I knew I was forgetting one. They're therefore competing for one position here, and you cannot put 6 of them in there. He's stretched a little bit by going for 3 of them. I honestly thought one of them would miss out, probably Eze, and you would get Wharton in the midfield, an extra deeper one. But he's actually chosen to go for the extra, more attacking one. And it is hard to argue it. You know, Bellingham has to go. Rodgers was huge for us in the qualifiers, and has been very good under Thomas Tuchel, so he goes. Then it was Eze versus the other 3. Eze, second top scorer in qualifying. He probably wouldn't have been my pick. I would have probably gone Cole Palmer for his ability to break a game in a moment. You know, 20 minutes from the bench, unlock a defence, Cole Palmer sounds good. Or I would have gone for Gibbs-White, simply because I think his form this season has been better. But in terms of, I don't necessarily agree with the decision of Eze, but I do understand it. Again, it really feels to me like Tuchel has picked a squad of players that have been there for Thomas Tuchel, right? He hasn't built this squad on necessarily club reputation massively, not all of them. He hasn't based this on what did they do in 2018, 2021, 2022, 2024. He's not based it on that. He's based it on who was there for him in the qualifiers, plus who's in good form, and then a couple others. Is basically how he's done it. So these back 5, you know, they were the defenders, apart from Stones, but we know he loves Stones anyway. These were the defenders that were big in qualifying. They were there for us in that qualifying phase. Eze was there for us in qualifying. He scored the goals. The only players that don't really fit that idea are Spence. He was part of the group but didn't really do much in qualifying. Konsa was part of the group but didn't do much. And Tony doesn't really tick that box of doing anything for us in qualifying because he wasn't there. And that does take us on to the strikers. It's strong. I'm a little bit surprised he's gone with 3. Again, could we have taken Tony out and put a Cole Palmer in? Or put a Gibbs-White in? Possibly. That's what I would have done personally. Harry Kane will start every game. Or every competitive game. If we are trying to win the game, Harry Kane will start. You know, the only one he might not is the third one in the group. Harry Kane will start every game. The other 2 are good sub options. Do we need both of them? I'm not sure. Watkins does give you something a little bit different. He does give you that different profile, that runner off the shoulder, someone that can stretch in behind. And I guess Tony, what he gives you is just a little bit of security if something was to happen to Kane. And it feels the same with Madueke. Right, if we just quickly mark these 2 up, Madueke and Tony, they both feel like they're not going to get that much football this summer. But if Kane was to get injured, I think Tony might come in to be the closest like-for-like thing. And the same on the right. I think Saka will start every important game. But if he was to get injured, then I think Noni Madueke would come in. So I think that is the thinking. And like I said, I don't agree with this England squad. There's 4 changes that I would make, like I said at the start of the video. So I don't agree with it, but I do get it. I do understand it. I understand the reasoning behind every single one of these players, except Jed Spence. That's the one I can't quite figure out. I can't quite figure out why you would do that. Is it because he's versatile and can play both sides? I don't think that's needed because Quansah can go to right back, Ezri Konsa can go to right back. So then we've got 4 options there. Dan Burn is probably in because he can go to the left if needed. But I would have just put Maguire in here as the experienced centre-back and then taken Spence out for one of the actual left-backs. That's sort of my main feeling here. Now, like I said there, I actually get and understand this England squad. I have already done all of my research into Thomas Tuchel's England. I've watched every game again. And tactically, I already think I know what he's going to do. And I think with that knowledge, it allows me to understand some of these selections, whilst not always agreeing with them. You guys will understand soon too, because I will be doing a video on that. We will be breaking down the key ideas behind this England team, what it is that Thomas Tuchel wants to do, why he's picked these players, and how they can be effective at this tournament. England will still go into this tournament as one of the favourites. Let's say it's a Marcus Rashford, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka front 3. That's a front 3 that have won their domestic league this season. Rashford winning La Liga, Harry Kane winning the Bundesliga, and Saka winning the Premier League. If we start a midfield 3 of Declan Rice, of Elliot Anderson and Jude Bellingham, well then by the end of the summer, we're probably talking about 3 players that have moved for £100 million each in their career. So that's strong. Pickford in goal has always been reliable for England. He's a good goalkeeper. No discussion there at all. The back four, I'm not quite sure about. I like Reece James a lot. I think he's a very good player. I think it's his time to step up and show what he is, because he's a top player if he can stay fit. O'Reilly, I think, gives us something there. The way that he'll work in that left dynamic, I like it. But he's not a natural left back. And the centre-backs, they're good. Do I think they're great? I think Guehi's great, to be fair. But they don't quite move me to that next level. They're not that experienced at international football. Although neither were John Stones and Harry Maguire back in 2018, and they certainly did alright for themselves. It's an interesting one, the defensive department, because there's all this crashing out about the squad. But I actually look at the starting 11 that we'll go into the first game with, and it's very close to the 11 that I think most of us would have picked. We maybe would have had Hall over O'Reilly, but even that's a little bit unlikely. So it's the fringe players, I think, that Tuchel's probably got wrong this summer. Is there enough players in there that are going to come in and make an impact in big moments, or bring something different? Feels like we've got quite a lot of similar profiles into positions. It's a shame we don't have someone who's going to completely change up the approach for us. That's the thing that's lacking in that squad for me. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm still very confident about this England side. I think it's a great squad. We've got one of the best managers at the tournament, certainly top 2 tacticians going into this summer. So we're in a great place. We've got a very good team. There's a lot of experience in there. Players that have gone deep in tournaments before. There's a nice blend of quality. Tuchel tactically will find balance. So England should still be very confident and should be very excited. The World Cup is my favourite time, to be honest. World Cup every 4 years is just the best. I will be covering it a lot on this channel. We're talking pre-tournament predictions. We're talking pre-tournament tactics, so how England will set up, how Brazil will set up, France, Portugal and Spain, how all of those teams will set up before the tournament even starts. And then once the tournament has begun, we will be covering as many games as possible, including every single England game, which will hopefully be all the way into the World Cup final and a World Cup win. That is the plan for this summer. So if you do enjoy this sort of content, which will become more tactical in the next few weeks, make sure to subscribe to the channel and get your notifications on right now. But apart from that, we are now finished for today. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.